All right, let's save the thing. This is make it not real. And fake AF, make it real. 5, what's that? Make it saved. There we go. Did it. Make it not, it's so real. 5, what is that? 5? Fake AF, okay. What? The real. What is this? 2? Oh my god. 1, should I push this? Destruct.
What the? Holy shit!
What up, Internet? Welcome back to another episode of Android Development for Beginners. So in this video, we're going to be talking about serialization and what it can do for you. Specifically, we're going to be using serialization to pass an object from one activity to another, and then we're also going to be using serialization to save the state of that object, so that when a user navigates to a different activity and then comes back, or when a user closes the app and comes back, they can recover the previous state. So we're going to start with the project that we were building over the past 3 videos. And actually, if you haven't seen the first 3 videos of the series, I strongly recommend you go back and spend some time watching those videos. It'll be less than 30 minutes of your time to get through those and see what we've done so far, where we're at, and that will help give you some context as to the what and the why for what we're doing next. So to begin, the very first thing that we need to do when we're going to be using serialization is we actually need to implement it in the object class in which we want to use the interface. And we're just going to come to the top where it says public class thing, and we're going to type implements serializable. And we can see Java went ahead and imported that package for us. And that's pretty much all we need to do here. All right, so we jump right back to the main activity, and what we're going to be doing here with the main activity is we're actually going to modify our intent here where it says put extra. I'm just going to delete the whole line here for simplicity, and we can type I for, that's the name of our intent, the variable that we named it, put extra, the thing. And now that it's serializable, we can just send the whole object. The next thing to do is, if I just hit shift 2 times, 1, 2, can go to activity 2. We actually won't need the Boolean, and we won't need the string name here. And instead, what we're going to use is we're going to declare a new object, private thing, and we're just going to call it first thing. And actually, we're also going to go ahead and set a file name because we're going to be saving the instance of this object. We're going to declare a string that we can use for that file name, and we'll just call it file name. All right, so not too hard, pretty simple so far. And we can see here that name and Boolean are now red because those variables don't exist anymore, and so we will not be using them. Instead, we'll say intent I, get intent, and then we can say here, first thing, the variable that we declared, gets, and we're going to cast that to our object class. I for our intent variable and dot get, and Android Studio knows what we're trying to do here. Get serializable extra, the thing, because that's what we called it on the other side. And now what we've done is we have received the actual object in its entirety into the second activity. So let's start with the text view, because it says name here, and that was a variable that we had to just hold the name of the object. But now we can just go back to using the getters that we have already set up. So we can use the get name method here. So we'll just use that first thing dot get name. That will be setting the text for the name of the thing. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fix this toggle here. You'll notice here that previously we just said a Boolean is going to get the opposite, but because we've passed in the entire object and all of its contents, now we can actually use this toggle that we've set up here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to say first thing dot toggle this realio, and now that toggle is used. See over here, it is now yellow. And now the condition. So the condition should say if first thing dot get is this realio is true, then we'll say button set text to make it not real. Also, we're going to use our setter here, set reality, and we have a string here that can return the reality. We're going to use that for a little message. So we'll say first thing dot set reality, and we'll make it say it's so real. And then after that, our button is already set to go. So we'll set the reality again, first thing dot set reality, and we'll say it's fake AF. All right, so we've got our toggle set up, and now we're actually going to use this string to we're going to make a little pop-up. And to do that, we just say toast dot, and you can say make text, and the context is going to be this. And we're going to say for the text, we're going to say first thing dot get name plus colon there plus first thing dot get reality toast dot, and we're going to say the length is short and dot show, and that should give us what we want. And just in case you wanted to check the log, if you weren't sure what exactly is happening, you can do that simply also by saying log I, and then you can kind of set this up however you want. It says to put a tag here, and I'm just going to say tag is going to be reality first thing dot get reality. This is something that you will see in your app when you run it by pressing the logcat button down here on the bottom. And now the final thing to do is to actually use the serialization interface to save the state of that object. So how are we going to do that? Recall from the introduction video where we talked about the life cycle of an activity. This is going to be very important when you're implementing a save function. We're going to be implementing the save function here in onPause, and then we're going to be using the load function, so to say, in the onResume method. And so because I'm a little bit OCD, we're going to go ahead and start with the save portion. And to do this, all we need to do is say on pause, and Android Studio knows what we're trying to do. Serialize the object. So the first thing we do is we need to declare a file output stream variable, and we're just going to call it FOS for file output stream, just to make it simple. And then next we're going to make something called a try catch. If Android deems that whatever you're trying to do is going to potentially yield some errors, then it will say that you need to put it in a try catch. So to begin then, we'll just start with our variable that we just declared, and we'll say it gets open file output. And for the file output, we need, it says here, a string name and int mode. Actually, we have not initialized a file name yet, so let's go ahead and do that now. Basically, we want this to be somewhat dynamic so that no matter what object gets thrown into the second activity, we want our file name to kind of resemble that object so that it's unique. Thus, it gets a unique file name. So to do that, we're going to say file name gets thing underscore plus first thing dot get name plus, when you are saving something, it is convention to save it as .ser and then a semicolon. And now that we have our file name set up, we can go ahead and throw that variable in here, file name. And we need one more argument, get application context dot mode private. Next, we're going to use object output stream, or OOS, and it's going to be a new object output stream, which is going to take the argument of our file output stream. OOS variable dot write object first thing, and then after that we can just close the object output stream by saying close. All right, so this is supposed to be a try catch, so that means we actually need to catch any instances of errors. And for this one, we can just say exception E. And we can just say E because we declared it as E, print stack trace, and that's that. So this is it. This is what it looks like to save or serialize an object. So what do we do next? Well, if we have a way to serialize the object, then that means we actually need to have a way to deserialize the object. So as I said before, we want to do this in the onResume method here. OnResume. And here's where we're going to deserialize the object. Almost the same format here. So we're going to type file input stream. We're going to call that FIS. And then once again, a try catch. So try FIS gets open file input. And here we can just say the file name, object input stream, OIS, new object input stream, object input stream FIS for the file input stream. Here's where you can use our thing variable that we declared above. So we can just say first thing gets, we'll cast it to our object type, OIS dot read object. And then we just say OIS dot close, and we should be good to go. So then we put a catch in, catch, same as before, exception E, and we can just say E print stack trace, and good. We can see all the red squigglies are gone. just in case the value of the Boolean within the deserialized object is different than its original value when it was passed in the intent, you might want to check for that. And so here, right under where we did all of that, we're going to update the Boolean status. Update Boolean status after deserialization. So we'll just say if first thing dot get is this realio is true, then button set text should say r dot string dot make it not real. Else button set text r dot string dot it's real. And that pretty much covers that. All right, so a quick summary of what we just done. We went ahead and we went into the object class and we implemented the serializable interface. Then in main activity, we went ahead and passed the entire object rather than properties of the object. Here we received the entire object using the i.getSerializable extra rather than i.getExtra. We declared a file name to be used to save an instance of the object. In onResume, we are deserializing the object if it was indeed serialized. We update the button text to reflect whatever changes might have been made to the object when it was deserialized. After that, we fixed our toggle to make a little pop-up. And also we have learned how to put in a log. And then obviously we want to have saved our object when the activity goes into on pause. So this looks like a good time to compile our code and see if there are any errors and run it and see what happens. Let's go ahead and do that. And hit the hammer button. Hammer time. And build finished. All right, so no errors so far. And let's run it. So there we have our thing. And if we click it, this thing, make it not real. So I click it. And now it says, oh, we see the pop-up worked. Thing, it's fake AF. And now we can change it back to make it real. But actually, before we do that, we're going to go ahead and click back. And just see if it's still there. Yep, still says make it real. So it actually did save within that activity. But what if I actually close the whole app? We'll just kill the whole app and see what happens. Slide that up. It's really laggy because my computer is struggling right now. Example project. Try one more time. We'll see if it's saved. There it is, the thing. And it still says make it real. Ladies and gentlemen, success. We have learned how to use the serializable interface to pass an entire object from one activity to another. And then we learned how to use serializable to essentially make it kind of like a zip file of your object and then save it in the on pause state and load it in the on resume state. And actually, before I go, there is one more thing that I forgot to show you, which is the log. So we come down here to logcat, click that. You might need to set it to the emulator that you're using. And this sometimes gets changed, so you might want to check that. And you can actually see here that we have a log. It says it's so real, it's fake AF. This is the log that we have set here where it says log I. So when I click the button, it tells me exactly what's happening. So I have some ideas for the next video, but what do you want to learn? I do like a good challenge, so drop a comment below. Let me know what you'd like to learn about, and we'll see what we can do. If you liked the video, if you enjoyed the content, please do consider supporting the channel. Thanks again. I really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you next time.